Sometimes when we make our Dungeons & Dragons characters, we want them to add a little bit of mystery and intrigue to our table. Now, we all know that you can get this from role-playing and writing up an interesting backstory, but I want to know, is this something that we can get from manipulating the mechanics that our characters gain from their classes? That's what we're going to be talking about today here on the Storycraft Society. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Garmin. This is the Storycraft Society, and it's another Thursday, so another episode is coming at you. This week is going to be really fun because we are going to be talking about 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons character creation. The concept that I'm going to be presenting in this video is something that I'm really excited about, and it's something that I've been incorporating in my character builds for a while. But I realized that the subject matter of this video could use a little context. So for that, I invited a guest on for this episode. We're going to share his story, and that will give you, I think, the context that you need for the later part of this video. So let's jump into it and let's meet him. This is Connor. Connor loves Dungeons & Dragons, and he has played many characters at many tables. His characters ranged from Harry, the Furbolg fighter of the Squirrel Menace, to Chimkin, the Kenku treat thief. When he got a little bit more courageous, he stepped up to the challenge of playing more complicated characters, like Hoover, the summoner of table scraps, and Bark Dillon, the most excellent howler across the land. And let's be honest, he got pretty invested in his characters. And that's when the bugbear swings his club and knocks Bark Dillon unconscious. But recently, Connor has wanted his characters to bring a little bit more intrigue to the table. He wrote up a unique backstory full of twists and turns for his next character, Flavorkin, the Twilight Cleric with a loud bark but a heart of gold. Connor planned for Wolfer to start the campaign as a tavern brawler yard dog who slowly reveals his connection to the gods over time. But in the first session, his whole plan came crashing down when another player looks at his character sheet and sees that Wolfer is a level 1 cleric.
I mean, come on, it says right on your character sheet. Connor's a cleric. We all know he's a cleric. Come on, cast Sacred Flame. Come on, do it.
Connor now has two options. He and the rest of his table mates can roleplay their characters not knowing his divine abilities, and then feign surprise when Wolfer casts his channel divinity for the first time. Or, this leads me to our second option. So this second option is something that I found over the years of building 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons characters, and it's a concept that I like to call Flavorkin, which is taking the flavor of one class and applying it to other classes to get really interesting and varied results. So let's talk about a specific example. Let's say that I want to play a divine knight type, someone who is a champion of the innocent. I want this to be, the lawful good paladin, but I want them to start the campaign as a beggar, someone who is down on their luck and forgotten by the world. That way, there's this really awesome and unique moment later in the campaign when they call out to their god for a blessing, and it just impacts the table so much more because everyone goes, I had no idea that you were blessed by the gods. I just think that that has so much juice and is so much fun. Now, I have some options if I make my character a paladin. Sure, they could just use their walking stick as a quarterstaff and basically be a gimped fighter for the early part of the campaign, not using any of their divine abilities until the right moment. But I want to be very clear about this. I don't think that a good mark of character creation, of quality role-playing character creation, is that you have to have a gimped, weak, or useless character at the beginning of the campaign in order to have an appropriately charged role-playing moment later on. So that's when I came up with the concept of Flavorkin. I wanted a way to be able to trick the other players to not know what archetype my character is playing until I'm ready to reveal that moment. So let's take a quick second and look at a couple more examples of Flavorkin. Let's start with the Plague Doctor flavor. So I think we can all agree that probably one of the best options for playing a Plague Doctor style character would be a Grave Cleric. The flavor that you get from the top to the bottom of the domain really fits this super well, and I think it's very, very useful. But I think that there's some cool Flavorkin out there. What about a Shadow Sorcerer? That could be really awesome for this Plague Doctor character. How about Way of the Long Deaf Monk from the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide? I mean, that could be a super interesting character that's a Plague Doctor who likes to study his patients in the moment of death. How about a Hexblade Warlock whose patron gifts them their magical weapon, which is like a bone saw or some kind of gruesome thing like that? Could really be interesting. Let's look at another one. A more typical one would be the Arcane Thief, this character that uses magic to steal. Obviously, we have the Arcane Trickster from the Rogue class, perfect fit into this slot. But we have some other options. One right off of the cuff is an Illusion Wizard. There's no reason that that Illusion Wizard couldn't have a high dex and be really good at sleight of hand and stealth. How about a Whispers Bard? They have the ability to poison their weapons. That feels very roguey. And you give them some illusion spells, you're working your way into this right away. Another good option, and my personal favorite, is the Trickery Cleric. Someone who is blessed by a god to be a literal trickster saint, running around on the material plane doing their trickster god's bidding. What's up, everybody? If you like this video, definitely leave me a like down below. In the comments section, let me know what your favorite part of this video is so far. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It goes a long way to helping the channel out. It's free, and if you don't like the content, you can always unsubscribe later. But I promise you're gonna like the content. All right, back to the video. The fun really begins when you start looking at all of the different abilities and see how you can reflavor them or just take their flavor and use them on your PC. A simple example of this can be used if we go back to my Divine Knight example. Now, a Paladin normally would get Lay on Hands. And if you decided to make your Divine Knight character in, let's say, Warlock or Sorcerer, they're not going to get Lay on Hands. But what do they get? Well, the Celestial Warlock gets Healing Hands at first level. There's no reason that you can't flavor that to be very similar when you describe what your character does to Lay on Hands. A particularly new table might not have any idea that this isn't Lay on Hands. You could even say that it is. Just roll the dice instead of using touch. Another really interesting thing that you could do is with Sorcerer, right? Sorcerer gets Empowered Healing at 6th level. Reflavor that to the god that is blessing your character. Your Divine Knight takes time to give him the ability to heal really well. In the real world, everybody is different. And I think this is something that we can take to Dungeons & Dragons to say one paladin should not necessarily get the abilities the same time as another paladin. And these are the things, these subtle little differences that are what you can use to keep your table mates guessing at the actual direction your character is heading, even if just a little bit, by using these abilities as a smokescreen. We can all imagine a paladin-flavored character, but with no charisma, because they're a monk. We can envision a cleric-flavored character with no wisdom, because they're a sorcerer. These are all super interesting intricacies that we can play with using the concept of Flavorkin. But that's what I've got for this video, so thank you so much for watching. In the comments below, throw cool examples of Flavorkin that you found, maybe old characters that you have, or new characters now hearing this that you want to play. I get so excited by the potential of this and how it can cascade and roll out even into multi-classing and that sort of thing, which just amplifies this concept up into the stratosphere. If you like this content, definitely leave this video a like and look at the back catalog of videos. We have a ton of videos and I think that you would like all of them. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and be sure to let your friends know about this channel. If they're interested in Dungeons & Dragons, whether they're on the crafting side or on the character creation and lore and world building side, I think videos are going to be coming out in the near future for both of those, so be sure to check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week, I'll be seeing you.
Come on, we have to finish filming. I'm serious, come on, let's go. Don't be so excited about it.